just going to come over anyway.
Well, it's Friday. Nothing we can do about it. No way to change it. No way to turn back the hands of time or, in fact, turn them forward. We're stuck. All of us together.
What are you talking about?
And we just have to get through it. There's no other options. That's all that I have to say about that. What?
Having fun? We're supposed to get this stuff figured out before we start. And you're supposed to wait for your co-anchor before you turn things on.
Or as they say in the UK, presenter.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know.
Whatever.
Who knows? Anyway, we'll all get through it together and everything is going to be just fine.
He's just saying that to me.
No, not really. Myself too.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we're okay. That we can do it.
I need to get a sleepy mask because the sun's been waking me up too early.
You do own cats. Drape a cat across your face.
Finny, and then I would suffocate and die.
It is amazing. His incredibly soft silken fur across your nose in the middle of the night doesn't help you sleep.
No.
Oh, well, what?
We could do a wrist check.
Oh, well, I guess let's do a wrist check. Okay, we're doing a wrist check.
I can't move.
She can't move because she has a cat on her. Milo. Milo.
Nope.
Anyway, what are you wearing today?
My not quite Back to the Future watch.
Yeah, but it's a nice one. Mm-hmm. I set it to the second today, which I'm happy about. Okay, now I'm going to go over and do the normal wrist check with myself. And for me, today I had to go out and I did take Rocket out to get his toes done. So I wore the Redune, and I wore it on leather because I love divers on leather. Love it. But now that I'm home, I'm going to switch to a great reissue, a reissue that shows how reissue should be done, which is my Omega Mark II. When I say should be done, it's like visually it looks extremely close to the original. All the branding is the same, logo is the same, font is the same, all of this stuff looks the same. Finishing on the case is the same, the proportions on the case are the same, but it was upgraded, so it's got a coaxial movement, and it's date, and it's just, this is how you do a reissue right, in that it has the cosmetics of the original, but what's under the hood is improved. Seiko's reissues typically don't do that. So it's one of the reasons that I'm so insanely fond of this watch, is they took a classic, they made one that looked as good as the original in all the same ways. They didn't add or change any branding, but they made the movement itself better. They made a better watch. That's what I'm talking about. They have a much different ratio of internal volume to external surface area, which means they don't get as hot as quickly and they can shed heat more quickly.
I thought you were talking about a watch. I was so confused.
No, I'm talking about the kids.
It's like 100 degrees out and they're outside.
Yeah, because they're little. What?
You.
But that's the way it works.
I thought that little kids overheat faster than adults.
What do I know? I'm not a kidologist. I'm just talking about volume to surface area.
Whatever. Let's see.
Anyway, so I love divers on leather. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's a fantastic look. It annoys some people for some reason, which I don't quite get. But tell you, diver.
Because you're not going to take leather diving.
They make waterproof leathers.
But that's not.
No. But how often do I go diving?
All the time. Hey, it's Milo.
Hi, fatty. Anyway, so, I mean, you can have a genuine 6105 on a chocolate bar, what some people call the Willard chocolate bar, or you can have your Redune on leather, which I just think is nice. I just like brown leather on black dialed watches. I think it's the black-brown thing really does it for me.
I thought that was illegal, or is it black and blue you're not supposed to wear together?
No, you're not supposed to wear brown socks with black pants.
Oh.
That's what you're not supposed to do. Oh. But I like black and brown. I think that they go well together in terms of patterns. In fact, one of my favorite Hawaiian shirts we have is that 50s one that's like child-sized. I have it somewhere.
No, we got rid of it.
We got rid of that one?
I believe so.
I hope we didn't. That was
It didn't even fit me!
No, it was a really nice vintage shirt.
It didn't fit anyone.
That's my Kermit the Frog face.
Well, you still have your dachshund one.
I do.
You should wear it one day.
I should. I'm mad that I got rid of all the other ones. Oh well, doesn't matter. Once again, we're wasting their time.
I hope you guys can hear this.
We have, by the way, speaking of hearing, I took this new microphone. A lot of people said that the sound was better. Some people said it was still quiet. So I set it to basically jack the volume up to the top. This is not as loud as it can get, but I don't want to blow anybody's windows out.
With our voices.
Anyway, but let's rock on. Because the sooner we start, the sooner you can lay on the couch upstairs and tell everybody to go away.
24780T. Sabrina, thank you for the tip on TeePublic. Holy crow, do they have a lot of stuff. My new shirts should be here tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah, I did a t-shirt search on there yesterday, and it came up with, I was like waiting for it to search up, and when it was done, it said 247, and I was like, wow, 247 shirts, damn. And then I saw that it was in fact 247 pages of shirts. It goes on and on and on, so you got to dial in those search parameters really tightly.
They also have masks now.
They do. They have masks.
Alex R. Bummed he didn't open with, it's Friday, and you know what it means? It's Snake Day. What?
Because of Milo's tail.
I thought Kitty's tail was a snake. Is Milo named after the Descendants frontman Milo? No, he's named after Milo from Milo and Otis.
Yep, it's true. I was going to name him Spot.
Because he has a spot on his nose.
But Sabrina wouldn't have that.
No.
And seeing as she's the one that found him in a bush, she got to name him.
Well, he's partially orange. Of course I would name him Milo.
How come you didn't name him Creamsicle?
That would have been a good name.
It's too long for a cat, though.
I guess.
Unless his name was Cream S. Ickle.
He just complained. He didn't like that.
Mr. Ickle.
From Patrick. Hi, Spencer. I was just about to email you asking for help checking out the authenticity of a watch, but a lucky Google search found the exact same watch being outed on a watch forum as a fake. Here's the eBay link I was almost willing to panic buy, which I'm not reading, and the forum thread in which I spotted the identical serial number on the case back. It's on the watch site. I was originally skeptical about the watch due to a Spanish-English day wheel in what I understood to be a JDM model, as well as an incorrect caseback. I'm thankful for the watch community helping each other stay away from scams like this. I suppose, like many others, my search for one of these watches will continue.
Yeah, the fakes are pretty amazing. And I've seen, basically, there's a company come in China that they make the whole kit, like the bracelet, the watch case, everything is complete. You just need to basically provide a 6138 and you can build yourself this model. I want to take a break really quick because talking about these crazy fakes, I have an opportunity. One of our regular people that we work with and to speak with had a fake Seiko 6138 7000 slide rule, and he sent it here to me because I've never actually seen one of those fully made fakes. So I want to break and talk about some of the characteristics of this thing. Okay, so one of these two watches is fake. If I was looking at them closely, just at a glance, I see a couple things that are concerning. The first thing I see, and this, by the way, is the fake. The first thing I see, one of the things that Seiko did, their hands, see that sweep hand? Its top surface is absolutely flat. Absolutely flat. Here, let me zoom in. Okay, there we go. Top surface, absolutely flat. There's no little boss or raised ridge around there. None. As we look at this, you can see these are the modern fakes that are out. The way they're constructed is different. There's actually, gosh darn it, there's a little raise. The hand tube comes up through the hand surface and then is pressed and rolled over to hold the hand in place. Seikos are built differently. But the big real tell on this, for me, looking at the dial, is look at how shiny the subdial surface is. Wow. Hang on. Here you can see that it's kind of matte. You can see it does have a little bit of those circular markers, but they're pretty well matte versus this. Hang on a second. Is that any better? It might be. Versus this, super shiny. Also, you'll notice too, the ports for the subdial hands are pretty prominent, and the main sweeps as hell. You can see where they are. Here, it's much closer. Also, these hands are too long. It's just, but beyond that, they actually did a pretty nice job. Like, this applied Seiko logo, that's great. They did a great job with it. They also, whoever did this fake, crazily enough, they decided to go with patinaed loom, which is, kind of an interesting choice because it makes it seem more genuine. The case differences are pretty subtle. Let me open this up here. I'll open. Okay. The case differences are pretty subtle. The biggest difference, see this little flat triangle right there in the base of the lugs? That's the genuine one, see that? But here it doesn't have that. Everything looks kind of shiny and new. But it's kind of scary how good the things are. But the killer, honestly, is the case back. The original Seiko case backs on all of these Seikos, they're stamped. The really early ones were etched, but like this, you see, that was a stamp in, and so it has a very uniform way, and it's smooth down in the bottoms of the grooves. That one was etched, but the numbers were stamped. That one, again, stamped. Clean stamping. Same with this. Clean stamping. It's a little worn out and flat, but it's clean. Crazy thing about this one, I don't know that you can see this, it is etched. This whole thing is etched, and it looks, I don't know if it's machine etched or laser etched, but if you look, let's see if I can do this. I might not be able to. Hang on. I'll try to get this done, okay? If you look, you can actually see whatever did the etching. You can see it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like mowing a lawn. It's not stamped and cleaned. It's absolutely flat. They got the font right, but you can see it's like machined in a loop, like back and forth, side to side, zzz, and it did that on all of them. The whole thing. All of them are done that way. It's not stamped. It's some kind of etching. Look at that. Look at that S there. And you can see how it's sort of machined out. Now, if you're buying online, it's going to be pretty hard to get this level of looking at it. But I would like to think, good God, I would like to think that at a glance, one can see that it just looks weird, has this sort of hazy, thick white look to it. It's not supposed to be thick and hazy and absolutely uniform. Notice the thicknesses are all exactly the same. Everything has this kind of frosted look to it, sort of thick looking, whereas the originals are literally, they're stamped. So they're almost going to be hairline knife edge without any kind of anything funky. But it's, it is crazy too. I mean, whoever did this, they did a pretty serious good job. This is a genuine insert set, complete original. It was NOS. It came to me from Jonathan Koch. It's real. They did a real good job on this watch. And at a glance, it'd be well, let me put it this way. I could, with not a whole lot of effort, I could make this watch look a lot better, especially if I had a genuine case back to put on it. That would I could do some stuff that would make this one much easier to fool people, but I would never do that. But I have to say, the reason that it would be easy for me to do that is because they did so many things right. You just have to be careful. You just have to be careful. It is what it is. Hopefully that was informative. So, I mean, it's hard to see when you look at listings and pictures. It's hard to see the stuff. You need to have really, really good look at stuff before you can know for sure. But there are some things, like I said, that you can reliably depend upon. Having the sweep hand have that boss in the middle of it is a really big sign. The rest of it's pretty subtle. Having non-changing serial numbers is something I've seen before, and we're still doing it now. But you just got to be careful. Buy the buyer, as they say.
Cat keeps licking me.
Don't buy restored watches unless you know the seller. That kind of thing.
Why is he licking me?
I don't know. Why does he do anything?
You're so weird. Chris Marchesi, tool watch on a leather strap, LOL.
Tell you, buddy. I routinely wear my divers on leather. Routinely. Because it's not like I'm going to go diving anytime soon. I just like the aesthetic. Well, we're nowhere near the ocean. Ocean left here 50 million years ago.
Okay.
It's tragedy. This used to be the Western Inland Seaway. There used to be plesiosaurs and things here.
I'm really tired. I don't care. Diddly squat. Weird, I was having a very similar conversation only the other night about Seiko not getting it and how do you pronounce that?
Redune
managed to produce a grandfather tuna, which I got on eBay for about $230, including shipping, which is everything I could hope for and more. But I had also felt a teeny bit of fraud in having got one, as it wasn't the real thing. Yeah. But now Spencer has basically given them his seal of approval. Whoa, no stopping me now. This review by Spencer somehow makes them legitimate. Yay.
I haven't given the green light anything. I have no authority to give the green light or the red light to anybody. Watches are an extremely personal choice, and they'll work for some people, they won't work for other people. I mostly talk about the things from my perspective, which people can take or leave. But, I mean, I have this idea. Seiko does these, they have a particular approach to their reissues and how they do them, and they're usually high dollar reinterpretations rather than something like this, which is a much more faithful reproduction. But then you have this. At a glance, it's hard to tell which is which. And the Redune has a Seiko heart. It's a good quality 4035. This one is. It runs well. Solid stainless case, screw down crown. It's not junk. This is a decent watch. Imagine if Seiko came out with a line. Because a lot of their fame was because they sold a lot of their stuff on military bases and Navy ships and things. And imagine if they came out with a line of relatively affordable reissues called the PX line for these specific models that were big in like Vietnam and stuff like that. And they were able to crank this stuff out and just tie it into sort of the military history and how Seiko and the military kind of went together for a long time, part of our history. And they have these PX, not remakes, but have the PX catalog, where it's just like the old days where you could go and you wouldn't have to drop. If you're a service member, you're not going to drop $5,000 on a watch. You want something you're going to wear in the field, and it's going to get beaten. So you want what Seiko used to offer, which was durable, affordable, replaceable. And
now they want to be fancy.
They want to be fancy. No. Anyway, that was my idea.
Walter Alvarado. Spencer Klein purchasing and praising a 1605 Homage is the equivalent of Paris Hilton purchasing and praising a fake Louis Vuitton handbag.
But if Paris Hilton did that, people would be like, huh, because she's an influencer. Yes. I don't know. Well, it's just, like I say, I speak as I find. They do, Redune, this company, WR Watches, or the source company that made these, they did a lot of things right. I too am not 100% comfortable wearing a Homage, but this thing is $200, these are getting to be worth really serious money. Yeah, it's fun to wear them. I like wearing them, but God, I mean, that price point. I remember the very first one of these I ever bought. Oh gosh, probably well more, 12, 13 years ago. I paid $300 for it. And guys, the old guys on the old forum made fun of me for blowing so much money on a 6105. They're like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Yeah, they sure saw you coming. And so it's like they felt that I'd gotten cheated. Would you pay $300 today for this 6105? Chances are you would say yes.
Jim Canataro.
Hello, Mr. Canataro.
It was so satisfying to hear you talk about how Seiko has abandoned their roots. He'll just keep talking about it and talking about it. He already has today. I tried to explain this to YouTubers like Bruce Williams who think the expensive reissues make sense and they think I'm crazy. They simply don't get it. Oh my god, they would sell so damn many of the 6105 8000s if they did it right. But instead they're doing 6105 8119 release soon and they're going to be $1,200. And they screwed up the hands, but I guess they're moving in the right direction. By the way, I would join you with the sock filled with 6115 homages.
Whap! But I mean, I tend to get carried away with my ideas, so now I'm starting to think about branding and boxing and how one could market the Seiko's PX line that doesn't exist. Where
And it'll never exist.
Well, but just think, you could have a number. They've done some stealth reissues, like they did a reissue of the 6217 7000 World Time Watch. Oh. The first World Time Watch. They did this crazy stealth reissue watch in solar. I think it was either solar or kinetic. I think it was kinetic. But they did a pretty good reissue of it. It wasn't promoted. They didn't tell anybody they were doing it that I'm aware of. It appeared and then it vanished. But they did it, and they could easily do it. That watch, I think they were selling it for like $250. They could do this PX line, which doesn't exist, which I just came up with in my head.
You're never gonna stop talking about it.
Well, think they could do the early first gen World Time. They could do the 6117 Navigator. They could do the earlier Navigator as well. 6105 Slim Case, 6105 8110. They could do. There's all kinds of stuff they could do. There's all kinds of models that they could bring back, and it would have that whole thing.
You should show them that record.
Huh? Oh.
We just refound it.
Speaking of world times, Lawrence Welk, as time goes by. Look at that. It's a 6217 7000 World Time right there. How could, and you say you don't want to pull this record up and...
No, it's going to be terrible.
Well, as time goes by, Hello Dolly, Ghost Riders in the Sky, Every Little Movement, Summer Samba, Embraceable You, Carolina in the Morning, Let the Rest of the World Go By, Someone to Watch Over Me. Let's see. Here we go. That's the problem, is that the sleeves start to slice open. Hey, no, it needs a cleaning. It's not bad. It's not even warped.
Can I use it for a frisbee?
No, why would you do that?
Because I don't want to listen to it.
What do you mean you don't want to listen to it? You don't want to listen to Lawrence Welk doing Ghost Riders in the Sky?
I don't even know that song.
Oh, wow. Ghost Riders in the Sky. Okay, next question.
Oh my god.
Doom diggy doom diggy doom doom diggy doom.
Oh, I know that song. Okay. Randy Allen. Hi guys, love your new MK2. I happen to be wearing my FOIS today too.
First something
Doing
island
stuff.
samba. I don't know. Fully on board in space? I don't know. Fractured onion is special? Somebody told me what it meant. I don't remember.
BD between that and Sabrina Seamaster, people may start to think you're Omega fans, but I am.
I love Omega.
Like that 6105 you're looking at. Can't wait for a part 2 review. I may have to get one right after I get an Uncle Seiko bracelet for the FOIS. I'm not too concerned about the homage thing as I already have a Steinhardt and it works fine. What?
Oh, some lady walking by with lots of red hair. And it looked like she was holding some kind of scanner.
Maybe she's with the internet people.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
This even has a Seiko movement. You're right, Seiko must accept their shame, to quote a movie. Have a good holiday. Hopefully they still have fireworks at City Park. I used to live nearby and would walk over and watch. They do, but they didn't this year because of Corona. But lots of people in the neighborhood shot them off.
Yeah, and I was like, you sitting here and you feel this thing and then you hear it. And I was like, and Sebastian was like, what was that? And I was like, that was an M80.
I looked out the window because there were 5 going off around the house that I noticed, and all but one went off at 9:30 and they stopped, and then one kept going till 10:30, and I looked out the window and I saw a firework or whatever, go flying over the fence of the party house, and they're shooting them off in the road.
Woo!
Woo!
It's the Woo House. It's up the street, and we've owned this house since 2011. Yeah, and that has been literally multiple generations of students going woo.
Woo! In that one house.
In that one house.
My God. Yawning. Okay. D-Mitz22. You're wearing my favorite watch. My dad wore his to death in the 70s, wearing it as a mechanical contractor throughout New England. I almost bought one in 2014, but bought another Seamaster, and I've kicked myself repeatedly for that. I have my dad's in my vault, and I can't seem to bring myself to service it. It sits there as a memory, along with his
Milgauss.
Whatever. And his constellation.
Wow.
Wanted to add about the homages. I've taken apart the San Martin 62 MAS and the 6105, and they were perfect inside. I did change out the insert of the 6105 to an aluminum one because the ceramic didn't feel right to me. I actually like the San Martin's look better than the others, and it is an 8110 case, which I prefer. The San Martin 62 MAS should in fact be an SLA 017 homage because that is what it resembles more. Have it on a stab?
I don't know. I didn't know how to pronounce that. Some kind of a mesh bracelet
and
maker.
It makes
look.
Matter
See, she's got a
clipboard. Yeah. A clipboard.
Are you gonna go talk to her?
No, you go talk to her.
Okay, well, you talk to these people.
No, I won't. I have no idea what happened, but some random ginger appeared at the door, and I don't know why. He's going to appear and tell me on camera.
Say what?
I just told the happy people on the phone that some random ginger appeared, and you brought her water, and I don't know what's going on.
She is that young lady with her red hair and her fierce eyebrows is going door to door advertising a special for pest control.
Why'd you bring her water?
She asked me for water. She knocked on the door. She didn't even talk to me about bugs. She was like, "You don't happen to have a bottle of water, do you?" And I'm like, "I can bring you a glass of water."
It's like 100 degrees out. Oh, wait, I already said that. Oh, that was.
Has it been filming this whole time?
No. I just started it again.
Oh, my Lord. Anyway, she was a very nice young lady, and there's Sadie.
With her siblings?
I don't see them. I have no idea what's going on.
I don't either. Here, I'm going to go see.
Where were we? Oh, he said wearing the... Okay, so vegan reader is the next thing. 2 things. First, there's a channel on YouTube called Just One More Watch. He's purchased several of these San Martin homages from a Chinese online market. Sterile dials are available. Second, I think Seiko made a turn for the worse. Where was I? Oh, Seiko made a turn for the worse with this Sarba 033035. It is amazing how much people were like, "Wow, my God." Everyone said they could have charged more for the watches, and Seiko took this to heart and jacked up their prices across the board. I think they've been jacking their prices for a long time before then. They are acting just like VW did in the 1980s when they were doing well, and they began jacking up their prices and got lazy with their designs. This caused them to almost go out of business by the late 90s. They had to start charging decent prices again and make interesting designs, hence the boom of the 2000s. Unfortunately, they've already begun the bad practices again. I stopped following VW's hijinks when they came out with the new Beetle. As soon as I found out it was a front-engined and water-cooled, I was like, what's the point? That's it?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Sarb 033, 035s are very interesting. I actually own an 033, and it just, I don't know, it's a fine watch. It just seems kind of, I don't know. It doesn't have that punch that I really like. It's a pretty enough watch. I don't think it's a world beater. It's not a bad watch at all. The one I have here is one of the ones that had the balance issues from the get-go. So it's basically brand new, but no, I don't. It's never been worn. There we go. Rick.
The audio seems to be a lot quieter on this one. I hope it's not. Again. About homages. The first dive watch... Oh, please don't fall off my leg. Oh, that'll hurt so much. My first dive watch was an Invicta Pro Diver made to look like a Rolex sub. It had a Seiko movement inside, and at $46 on Prime Day, it was a ridiculous value. However, I had to sell it on because I just felt uncomfortable wearing it. Since then, I decided that homages just aren't for me.
They're not for everybody. Watches are a super, super personal thing. Like, when people write me and they're like, hey, I want to buy a watch for as a gift, or I want to look at something, or I want to get into vintage watches, what should I buy? And I'm like, I can't tell you. Because there were watches that I was sure over the years that I would just love to death that I ended up never wearing. It just takes a while to figure out what you like. Homages are not for... Was that him?
I squeezed his head a little. I petted his ears.
Okay. Yeah, they're not for everybody. And you know what? Nobody should have to justify what they like or why they're wearing something. To be like...
Snobbery. I can't believe some girl came to the door to ask for water.
And she had like a scanner and a clipboard and a name tag and I was waiting for the pitch. And she was like, "Do you have a bottle of water?"
Poor thing shouldn't be out walking around today.
No, God, no. I mean, but why did she choose our house? What is it about our house that made her say, I think those people might give me water?
I don't know, because what's a Sarai is out in her front yard doing gardening.
She did walk past our house first. Did she ask Sarai? And Sarai was like,
I don't know, maybe.
You know, it's not hard to be nice.
Tim Lara, it's not that Seiko can't do it. They only want to do the classic reissues as multi-$1,000 limited editions. I think they intentionally gimped the more affordable reissues to try to force people to buy the ridiculously overpriced one. Really a bummer.
You know, and what's crazy about it, though, is you think about it, Seiko produced the SKXs for, 17 or 18 years, and they're still sort of making them. But they downgraded them into the 5KX. I don't know why they made the changes to the 5KX, giving it only 100 meter water resistance and display case back, no screw down crown, no non-lume, no pip in the insert. I mean, people are buying them like crazy, so they know something I don't. I don't work at Seiko. I don't
think they would ever give you a job. All you do is complain about them.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I'd be in the boardroom with all these Japanese executives, and they'd be speaking in their native language, as would be normal, and I'd be yelling at them in English because I have no Japanese, and it would just be a waste of everybody's time.
Yes, so you would never get hired. Milo loves you.
He's so happy.
Are his nails gently into you?
I can't tell because of my jeans.
Yeah.
All right, well, Onward and upward.
Tension junkie. I wouldn't worry about the attack comments. Remember that it is easier for people without a real backbone to snipe from a keyboard. Honestly irrelevant. Keep up with being you. As for the watches, I have quite a few vintage Seiko and Timex watches ranging back as far as the 50s. I also have a couple of steel dive NH35 movement homages, a 300-meter Marine Master Tuna, and a Willard, made by the WR factory, which I have as worry-free, dependable beater watches in a style that I could actually wear if they were actual vintage. I am military and do a lot of work in the water, but I still want that classic style.
Oh, so do you take your WR watches into the water? You're military, you're not fooling around. You wear them in all situations. How's the water resistance? And I agree entirely. I mean, it is what it is. You want a watch you can wear, not worry about it. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Josh R. Hi Spencer, love the videos. I'm getting into watches for the first time and I've discovered vintage Seiko automatic watches with the 6138-39 movements. Do you have any advice for watch noobs like me who are trying to avoid Franken watches, bad deals, etc.?
The first thing I would say is sort of dig your way into online forums where there are collectors and try to sort out real collectors from dilettantes. I don't quite know how you do that, but you want to expose yourself to the right people who have the same goals as you, which is original watches in original non-jacked up condition. And so there are good forums that you can go to for that. There's my own Seiko forum on Reddit. Reddit are Seiko. Also, Reddit are Japanese watches. They're both my subs. So you could go there. You can talk to the people in the comments below. You can ask me questions. You can also... That's a fine picture. You can also... not to toot my own horn, but I have a lot of videos. And I will always talk about what is good and what isn't good. Biggest thing is that you can get all original 6138s, 6139s. They certainly are out there. The big question is getting them serviced and good to go, because not that many people will service them or won't service them correctly. But, figure out what models you're interested in and start researching those particular models and get a real sense of what is correct or not correct.
Yeah, I'm looking at Instagram. No, I'll read.
John Boy of Alaska.
What up? Concrete pilings aren't hard. 1 or 2 bags in a wheelbarrow down the hole. Rent the vibrator to settle it out. First about... Don't say it! Don't say it!
I didn't say anything.
You were thinking it. You almost said it. I saw your lips quivering because you wanted to say it so badly.
You can say it. Wait, she did. Onward and upward.
First, about the Sprawn mainsprings in the 6R15. Sure enough, I timed my Alpinist after you mentioned it, and I got 56 hours before it ran out. So there's definitely something to it. Secondly, I appreciate your humility about your watch knowledge. True, you don't know everything, but for many of us, myself included, your knowledge about vintage Seiko is vast. And I, for one, respect your opinions as thought out and honest, as well as your ability to change opinion based upon facts. Agree or disagree, I respect your opinions. Thanks again.
I have a long family and personal history of bullshitting, and
You're not supposed to curse on YouTube anymore.
Bull pooping, and I am. It's one of my tendencies that I have been.
But you don't. You only say the information you know.
Right, but I didn't used to, and so I always have to sit on myself to make sure I didn't do anything maliciously. But I would come to a conclusion very quickly, and then blurt out that would come, and it would lead me to say things that weren't correct or that I hadn't fully researched yet, and it's just maddening. So I really do try to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, and very often I don't.
And you admit that when you don't.
Sure, but we're supposed to do it. Part of the reason I do it too is it was a piece of parenting advice I read a long time ago, that it's better to, when you're working with your kids and they ask you a question, you don't know the answer, say, I don't know, but we can find out. And then you do the lookup or whatever and you figure it out together.
Or you say, I don't know, ask Daddy.
It's an opportunity to learn.
Do you do that, Milo?
He doesn't learn anything on his journey through life.
Analog flavor. My father is 70 and sucks at anything too technical. I got him a turtle, but he has difficulties opening, setting the time, and closing it again. Can he damage something in the process when he's fiddling with it, the spring or something?
The only real damage you can do if he's fiddling with stuff, you want to make sure that he doesn't try to set the date when the watch thinks that it is between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. So if ever he is going to be setting the watch, well, I could actually just take a break and just show how to deal with that.
That's a good idea.
I think so. I'll show you the very basics for how to avoid danger to your watch. So let's do that. Okay, so a couple things you want to have your dad do. Real simple. Only things that you can really go wrong. One, you never want to set the date between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Not on the clock on the wall, but for what time the clock thinks it is, the watch thinks it is. So we come here, we stop. We're going to pretend we don't know what time this watch actually thinks it is. So here's what I do whenever I pick up a watch. Okay, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if it's AM or PM, if the watch thinks it's AM or PM, so when I pull the crown, I run the watch forward. Okay, here I am, running the watch forward until I see the date click over. I'm like, okay, the watch thinks it's midnight. Fine, okay. So then I'm going to go past and I'm going to set the correct time. Let's say the time is 10:09, 10:08, okay? So, boom. We know that the watch thinks it's the watch thinks it's 10 a.m., which is good. Now we're in a safe place where we can set the day and the date without harm to the movement. You just don't want to do that at the wrong time because you can jack up the setting wheels. Wait, today is the 10th. Okay, so now I'm ready to screw the crown back down. This is the way you do it. You can see the way these work is there's threads inside the crown and there's threads on the crown tube. Here's what you do. You want to make sure you never want to cross thread anything. The way you stop from doing that is instead of just pushing in and turning willy-nilly, you actually push in and you turn backwards very slowly. Doesn't have to be that slowly, but you push it in, turn it slowly until you feel the click. Aha, I just felt the click. The click is the threads meshing together. When you feel that click, then you turn it forward and you're all good. And you're not going to damage your threads and everything's going to be fine. So that's how we do it. That's what you do. Very, very basic stuff.
Julie Hill, in the time of Corona, have learned to lip read. Ears are blocked. Can't get in to see a doctor.
Are you sick?
Sounds like it to me. Sound or no sound, no big deal to me. Haha. Interesting stuff on the WR Watches 6105. Not a fan of modding personally, but a great video.
I put it back together. I mean, I did it basically to show that I could do it because my original idea was to be able to use the case itself as a base for watch creation. But in the end, I put it all back together. Are you ill, Julie? Are you doing okay? Write and let us know if you're doing okay, please.
Stephen
Hey, wait,
Meitner.
mail's just coming back.
Well, maybe he has something for us. Stephen Meitner, reluming the stoplight to pink would improve the look dramatically. IMHO.
So instead of the red stoplight, which is how the reproduction hands look, you do it with the correct pale orangey pink. Maybe I can look at it. I mean, but sure. Why not? Why not? I'll look at the hand. I mean, because I can certainly do that.
Okay. John Carades. Greetings, another great video, thanks. I had seen a video on the Watch Repair channel comparing the 4R35 movement and the NH35A movement, and it seems they are identical. The machining marks on the bridges were exactly the same. Anyway, I was wondering what you thought of the 4R35 movement.
They are exactly the same. They just have different branding. Seiko's done this since the 60s. They've done this forever. Same exact movement. I mean, you could find Seiko's old 6619 movements in, I think, Bulova and a number of different brands used the Seiko movements, and they would put their own branding on them. It's a very good movement. The biggest issue with the 4R35s that I've found is sometimes there can be QC issues around how the automatic lubrication was done. Like, they have machines that lubricate the movements. They don't have people doing that. That's one issue. The other issue is the way the balance adjustment arms are set up is it can be, in the old days, the hairspring was held by a stud. It was permanently fixed and it was held in place. And so it just stayed where it was put. The new ones, they have these studs of the sort, but they're not held in place and screwed in place like the old things. They have this like kind of, I don't know, they have this kind of like pincher thing going on, and then they take the stud and they kind of force it in here, and it's like held like that. The problem is that the stud can move around, and then what that does is it radically changes where the hairspring is, and you touch it wrong and you can jack up everything with the hairspring. I was fooling with one last weekend, just idly, just for fun, just to look at it, and I was able to get a movement running from 270 down to 150, back up into the 220s, and then all manner of stuff, and with beat error going all over the place, and I wasn't moving the arms at all. I was just fiddling with those little things. This wasn't anyone's watch. I was just trying to learn some more. And so that's the biggest problem. So if you have one that is set up correctly, you're great. If you don't, that's a problem. I ended up also looking at an SKX 009 I had here with a C-type balance, which is the same as the NH and the 4R and the 6R. And I ended up just going backwards and putting an A-type balance in it, and it was awesome. We're going to get through it together. We will survive. What?
I see what time it is because I'm hungry. I need a
Do you want to have a snack time?
No, if I go upstairs, they're going to attack me. What am I going to eat? A fruit by the foot and some goldfish?
Well,
should I get a juice box too?
Do we have those?
No.
Oh. Well, I mean, but we got all the other stuff in there. We got the fig bars.
I don't like the fig bars.
I didn't ask you if you liked the fig bars.
There are too many calories in them.
Whatever. We got the protein bars. You hate those.
There are too many calories in them.
Whatever. Do you need a snack break?
I need a nap.
We don't have a nap time slide.
Tom N. Your passion for Seiko is remarkable, but expecting faithful reissues may be unrealistic. I agree. Companies rarely do so, and not just in horology. To be successful, a company must continually move forward. I believe that this is what Seiko is doing, whether you agree with their plan or not, but not to fear. These small and frequently Chinese watch manufacturers are filling this niche with watches such as the one you have. Accept it, revel in it, and don't bemoan that it doesn't say Seiko on the dial. Life is short.
Yeah,
you just got us scolding.
Oh, sure. No, I understand what he's saying, but there's a right way and a wrong way to approach how things are done. What?
You're going to get going again.
No, not really. I'm just going to talk about things I did before. This Omega Mark II, you can get these reissues. They were made 5-6 years ago. You can get one of these Omega reissues these days for like, I don't know, $2,500, $3,000. It's coaxial, beautifully made. It's exquisitely done. The branding is right on target. It's got an upgraded movement. It's an awesome, awesome watch. Versus some of Seiko's new limited edition chronographs and things that they're cranking out for $4,000 that are a tarted up 7000 series movement with a module on the front. Yes, it works fine, but the approach to doing a reissue is entirely different. They're making a shiny thing that runs and it's okay.
First Omega in space.
Oh, first Omega in space.
Sorry.
That's okay. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. So you have Seiko's approach, which is really expensive, and you're not really upgrading the movement a whole lot, and it's okay. Versus Omega's treatment, which is far more affordable. Even when they were new, they were far more affordable. They took the original design and they kept all the key design elements that made it look like the original, and they upgraded the movement. They made the movement better. They made the choices better. They made the options more. Oh, by the way, Tom, I have, hang on.
I'm laughing because Milo is on his back and he hates getting his ears touched. No, we weren't touching him or anything. And he rolled over on his ear and he started complaining.
Did he?
Yes, that's why I'm laughing.
That's a silly thing to do, Milo. Let's see. Tom, by the way, it's taken me a little bit, but this watch is ready to go. I've had to work on it just a little bit because this is one of the ones that it had a little bit of. I had to put a little spice on it to get.
A little spice?
I had to go through this one. It had some twitchy bits because it's another one of these models that.
It had some twitchy bits.
Well, it was Southeast Asia, and so it had a little bit of moisture damage and hadn't been cared for that much. But now, there it is. So I'm just doing final testing on this one, and I will hopefully be able to actually do your final video today. I'm hoping. I'm going to put this right here so we all know where it is. Everybody, that's where Tom's watch is. Come on. Don't you want to go upstairs and take a nap?
I can't!
Sure you can.
Okay. Saul Brook. Haters gonna hate and suck the fun out of everything. What you just did in this video is the definition of fun. We are all one heartbeat away from our last. Drawing the line in the sand over, you don't understand the design language, and you're not worthy, and you should slink back under a rock. This is the pedantry, is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so.
Pedantry? I don't know. Of Joyce's little minds.
Yeah, well, there are things that matter and things that don't. You know what matters? People. Things don't matter.
Cats matter.
Cats matter, but cats are people.
It's true.
All we have is ourselves and the people around us and the social context in which we live. Things are neat. They help pass the time. But in the end, people are what matters, not opinions on industrial design.
Tom N. again. Always a good morning to wake up with Spencer and Sabrina. Great discussion over Seiko's business plan. To play the devil's advocate, like many traded companies, Seiko is driven by their quarterly earnings report. Turning old gold into limited edition Halo models to back up their other lines must make good business sense. I'm not sure about your assessment that a $500 Seiko vintage diver reissue would fly off the shelves either. I believe that vintage Seikos are an acquired taste. Uh-oh.
Wow.
And I know that the divers competition is fierce at that price point. I wonder what Kinataro Hitori would say. Nice Omega, I think I'm going to go for original MK2. Did you trade the 40? Didn't seem like you were feeling the love on that one.
Yeah, the 40, there was something about it in terms of its sizing that just, it didn't sit happily on my wrist. And I'm an insane sucker for orange, that big bright orange, especially when you have three colors. So this is white, orange, and black, which I think is just really neat.
I thought it was gray.
Well, gray, whatever. This one really, it does work for me. I mean, I like the look of the 40. It just wasn't for me, and so we traded it out. He's happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy.
Is Milo happy?
Hard to say.
Super Cruise. Hi, Spencer. Omega Speedmaster Mark II reissue is simply amazing with the coaxial movement. I have the same watch. What a piece of equipment. By far the heaviest watch I own. Question for next week's mail call. I recently picked up a new Seiko Arnie reissue and love it. Simply great aesthetics and function. Do you still have yours, and what is your opinion of the timepiece now that you've owned the watch long term?
Yeah, absolutely. I still have it. It's over there on the windowsill charging. It's a great watch. Every time I look at it, I'm happy. It's a reissue done right. It has all the design cues of the original. It's obviously, it was designed and built with a real eye for how the original was made. The updates are, in my opinion, they make sense. The larger buttons with the crown that matches, all the crowns are the same. It's got the same functionalities. But with some added stuff like the unidirectional bezel. Its price point is such that you don't have to really worry about banging it around. It's awesome. In fact, that would be a great one for the PX line that Seiko doesn't have.
You're never going to shut up about it.
I get these ideas and it becomes these ideas.
You don't work for Seiko.
No, I understand it, but I get these ideas, these marketing ideas and stuff, and it's like lightning, like boom, and I see the whole thing, and I'm like, that's a great idea. But no, I don't work for Seiko.
You read it, it's on.
Andre Henry. I don't know that I got that right or wrong. My apologies if I mispronounced that. Good day and happy 4th weekend. Always a pleasure and calming effect to see you both on my Saturday routine. I think the best solution for your sound issues is to go with clip-on microphones for now, if you can bring your existing microphone closer. Let's see how this does. I turned it up. This is a really nice mic, and it's not cheap. We choose to go with clip-on microphones for now if you can't bring your existing microphone closer. The window conversation could all be captured. The only issue is if you have Sabrina running out to deal with the kids. Here's the next subject. One piece of furniture I think is always a great addition to a vintage audio is a sideboard. We have a sideboard. My favorites tend to be Danish postmodern, mine too. They are getting to be expensive antiques for that reason. Danish original stuff, stupidly expensive. It's been expensive for decades. Let's see. Alternatively, I like some current sideboards used for a lot of office boardrooms and dining rooms. That's what we have. All have shelves to tuck equipment out of sight. If you blah, 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 blah. Large surfaces for turntables and other equipment. We're there. We back you 100%. I have not kept up on your progress with the MG lately. I have actually a video that I've just been in process of doing. I just need to put it together and upload it. Have you set up a separate channel? Yeah, there's a video playlist.
Not a channel, you have a playlist.
I have a playlist, not a different channel. There wouldn't be enough content on the channel to support that, I don't think. About the MG, I always feel like when I'm getting ready to make an MG video, I'm like, why am I doing this? Who cares? Who do I think I am that anybody would give dead rat one about what some guy is doing on his broken down MG?
The neighbors walk by and wonder why you have a whole camera set up in the garage.
I'm just like, who cares? Who do I think I am? I'm not special. Why would anybody give a damn about me and my stupid MG? Let's see. If not, please make more if you can squeeze in the time. Oh, I have the time. Love the family conversations banter. You both are very charming in your individual ways. Have a great day. You are charming.
No, I'm not.
Now we have two last ones. William Smith.
I have a dial on my 6309 from 1977 that meets all the criteria you mentioned, except the yellowed loom looks oddly flat. Does it wear down over time, or maybe it's a convincing aftermarket?
You would have to look at the rest of the dial. You look at the quality of the printing of the text. Like the Seiko is in a bright metallic silver, very crisply printed. Same for the text on the bottom, where it would say Seiko 6309 and then split under the bottom marker and say 704T. Is the loom window nice and deeply beveled? The markers, the paint, the white paint markers, the edges should be a little rough. If you look at them closely, like really closely, you could see that, you could tell that they're like a little screen printed. That's what they're supposed to look like. Look at the surface of the loom of that watch. Take the loom as best you can under good light and good magnification and try to get it so that the light is falling across the surface. See if you see this like linen hatch pattern, because that's what they would have come originally. Now, I have seen them where the loom, because what happens, sometimes you get a little bit of moisture inside, and the moisture will bring, it brings up the salt. It gets called to the salt and brings the salt up out of the loom mixture, because Seiko loom is salt-based. And then when you clean that, it can clean up beautifully. It won't discolor. It looks like there's little crystals, salt crystals on top of the loom. And then when you clean that up, there's ways to do it. You're basically, some of the loom kind of goes away and it gets a little flatter. I would say look for the pattern on the loom. Also look to see about the glow. It should glow a little bit for a little bit of time, but not super long, and it should be even. So that's another thing to look for. So again, look for the really tight, clean printing, and it should be really, really like the Seiko and the Resistech stuff. That anything in the silver is going to be really sharp, and just see how that looks. Look at the pattern of the loom. Check it over, and if all else fails, feel free to send me a picture.
Archie, hi SNS. I'm curious to know more about why you consider the 6619 the best MACV SOG watch of them all. Also, is the movement superior to 6105?
I could tell them about it, or I could show them.
Why don't you show them?
I'll show them. Okay, so I'm going to do a little segment now on that MACV watch, and for the rest of you who don't care about that thing, have a great weekend, and I'll try to make some time to work on the MG, but I think I'm going to have to go to Harbor Freight. Well, I mean, I could go to Home Depot, but it's more expensive. And far less likely to collapse. Did you see? So Harbor Freight had this whole thing where they had all these jack stands for the cars, right? And they had to do a recall. Well, they just had to do a recall for the ones they replaced the recalled ones for.
It was the weirdest store I've ever been in.
It made me. It was so like woogie and creepy feeling. All the people that were in there and like the cheap knockoff brands, the fake Makita.
And they made it look exactly like, hey, it's like the watches.
Yes, it is. But how's the quality?
I don't know.
You see, but the thing is, though, is you can go buy a brand new Makita. You don't have to buy a fake Makita because they make real ones.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Okay, that's it. So I'll do a thing about my opinion about the 6619s, and we'll go from there. Y'all have a good weekend. Okay, so speaking of these, now those of you who are not familiar with what we're talking about here, during Vietnam, Special Forces, MACV, SOG, people who were working behind enemy lines, a lot of their equipment was sterile. That it had no branding, no military branding. And they did that to help obscure their origin. One of the things that these guys did was to, instead of using military-issued watches with the military 24-hour dials, they started purchasing these. These are the 6619 with a loomed dial, Arabic, but definitely a civilian model, Sportsmatic. And enough people were buying these informally that when the next generation, and they wanted more of them, by the time they did that, Seiko had gone, they'd stopped producing the 6619s, but they did make 6119s. It's the next generation of movements. So this was these 6119s were officially procured by Special Operations Group and all those people. They actually procured actual orders from Seiko with this dial in hand in this configuration to issue. The last one they did, basically it looks like this. Take this watch and make it stainless with a black dial and white letters, silver hands, and that kind of thing. This is the gold version, but that's just neither here nor there. It was the black version was also issued. Basically, in your mind, put these two watches together. Make this color. I've had a number of the 7005 MACV watches, but I've ended up selling them. Not because, they've got great movements. I just tended not to wear them. They're a little small for me. My opinion for why these are the best. Well, okay. Let's, I guess, start on the inside. So we have 6619 movement, 6119 movement. Wait, oops, I got those backwards. There they are. Now the big thing, there are a few things. 6119 is a good movement. It's got diafix settings. It's nicely jeweled. It doesn't hack or anything. This is a movement out of my junk drawer, so it's missing its balance. So ignore that. The rest of it is correct. And this is an A. Look at that. It's got its 2 screws. They're good movements. They're accurate. They run at 19.8 19,800 BPH, I think. Or is it 21? I don't remember. In any case, it's a pretty standard speed for those days. It is. They have big wheels in the train, and relatively speaking, a big balance. And in order to deal with that big balance and push those wheels around, the mainspring has to be strong, pretty strong, stronger than the 7005s or the 6619s. And what that does is it produces, you have to push a lot of power, which produces a lot of wear, which means your lower mainspring arbor port wears. And that's kind of a problem because it seems to happen fairly quickly. And that's kind of an issue. I mean, they're beautiful movements, but they have that sort of flaw in them. Now the 6619s, they're a little thicker, ever so slightly thicker, but they're a slower movement. They're 18,000 BPH, but the reason people like higher beat amounts is that the faster you go, the smoother the hand sweeps, and in theory, the more accurate it'll be because you're dividing the time more finely. 18,000 BPH is pretty slow, but these watches tend to run with really nice high amplitude. When they're serviced, they fly along. Amplitudes in the 280s and 290s, 300s easily. These also have fully jeweled trains, fully jeweled. And one of the things for accuracy is that if you're not going to divide up the time more finely with a higher beat rate, that also can be cured if you go the other way and simply add amplitude. Faster amplitude means the watch is going to be steadier, and it's going to hold its accuracy better. I have gotten such great amplitude and accuracy numbers out of 6619s. And also because their mainspring is relatively speaking, is weaker. It's got smaller wheels, a smaller balance. It doesn't have to push as hard. So it's very, very rare for me to see these with any kind of serious wear on the mainspring arbors, lower mainspring arbors. Another thing that's nice about them is, boy, you can get these. You can still find these for cheap, and they're great movements. The other thing is, this is a personal thing. Okay, so 6619, 6119, they're both snap-ons. At this point, Seiko was not producing a screw-down case back for these models, but this 6119 is plated base metal, and it ages really badly, especially in hot and damp environments. It just scratches up and just eats away down to the brass. These cases are stainless steel, 100% stainless steel, and that makes the watches more durable. They both have the same kind of crystal, which is a crystal with a tension ring held in place with a crystal retaining ring. So that's all the same. I don't know, I just like this one better. I think it looks more elegant. I think it looks more solid. I like the Sportsmatic on the dial. I like the fact that this model was one that the guys had to go out to the PX and buy themselves. And so this was something that they picked up on their own. I don't know, I just like them. I think the 6619s are great. This is one of my favorite watches. I like the bright silver printing on the dial. I don't know, I just think it's a nice looking watch. I prefer it. A lot of it might be down to the fact that this is an easier wear watch. It's got a much lower height, but the base metal getting eaten away is kind of tough. I don't know, it's all personal preference, but I am a backer of the 6619 movements. They love servicing. They take servicing very well. Once serviced correctly, they run with excellent amplitude. And yes, they're slower. They're not as finely divided as I need to service this one. But it's a fine, elegant movement, and they get excellent amplitude, and they are just beautiful workhorses, and they will run and run and run because they won't blow out their lower mainspring arbor ports. Very forgiving. Just awesome. 7005s, yeah, I think they're fantastic movements, and it's got the advantage of a screw-down case back, and it's an all stainless steel case, but it's date only. I tend to prefer date 8, and these also, they're so rare. I mean, the ones with the numbers, the real ones, they're rare and they're expensive. I can't really justify wearing them. This is literally the exact same watch, except for the dial. That's the only thing that's different. The dial's different. That's it. Everything else is exactly the same. Anyway, that's my feeling on that.